Hey guys, this is Alice from Allykatkreations. How are you? Please like, share, and subscribe if you haven't done so already to my channel. And if you get anything from my work, a connected dot, an epiphany, a mind blown moment, a new book to read. I know it's small, it's easy to pick up. A new author to explore. Please consider supporting my work. All the links are at the bottom of this video. But we are going to tackle George Van Tassel today. That's why I had the book readily available. Before we get into George Van Tassel, I want to thank all the new subscribers. I want to say hey to everybody. What's up? Today I put out a short with my garden, and we just had a really bad rainstorm that hit, and a lot of the leaves off my sweet potatoes they disappeared. I don't know if an animal, bird, wind, don't know what happened, but you can see my lettuce and my kale, my sage is growing, my mint. I forgot what else I put in that. Yeah, so I got a whole bunch of raised beds that I've been growing some stuff. I got one onion. The 2 cucumbers already came, more growing. My little potatoes won't be done for a while. They're still cooking in that soil. And my berry bushes won't produce until next year, but if you go watch the video, I'm trying to convey what I did. I had an EMF detector when I first got it, because I had another one that was alarming, and I'm like, I have electrical wires that run over my garden, and it's like one of the best spots to have my garden because it's in the sun. Now I'm in Indiana, and it's going to be freaking retarded cold this winter and really windy and snowy and shit. So I needed to make sure I thought about the placement of where my garden's going to go. So that was one of the few spots that was accessible to all sunlight without the tree canopy and far out of the way from harm, because I do have my trees. They're not doing so well. I have 2 big trees in my backyard. So go check that out. I show you the shungite, the copper, the crystals, all that fun stuff. Trying to start being self-sufficient, and that takes time. Mr. George Van Tassel, into this world and out again. We're going to start with, this is the end, we're ending the book today. The second birth. And this should be very interesting. Verily, verily, I say unto you, the hour is coming, and now is, when the dead shall hear the voice of the Son of God, and they that hear shall live. Of course, we know dead bodies cannot hear. So what is implied here where it states the dead shall hear the voice of the Son of God? You must remember that the man, Jesus, said many times, it is not I who speak, but the Father who speaks through me. Of course, the Spirit of God is speaking from realms of perfection, from a universal point of view, not from the surface of the earth. The first birth on this planet is through the parent instruments of your conception. The second birth is when you leave this limited condition on earth and are reborn into your true state. That's major. And I feel for if we're going with the paradigm that's asserting itself into consciousness right now, we are consciously rising up, kind of having a rebirth. Might not be a second birth, but many of us might hit our true states of us, our true soul self, in the physical body. If the documents, if other people's sayings and research about ascension, about what really happens, it might not necessarily be a state that we need to wait for until death. It might happen in this physical body. Again, we are not 100% sure. I want my damn powder moment. Powder. So, sorry guys. In the movie Powder, he's in a field and there's a storm brewing and there's lightning and he's just like, ah, running. And then he gets struck by lightning and his whole essence transforms into this huge light ball and like he dissipates into a light. That would be amazing. And everybody that got hit with his light felt pieces of him and felt like this overwhelming like warmth of love and like his essence in them. What happens if we could do that on a major scale? So cool to think about. That's the way I would like to go. But here's a caveat to this. We already wrote how we are going to ascend in the manner in which we will ascend with source. We already wrote that stuff out for ourselves. So it's just now remembering what we asked for, which is the fun. It's the fun of it all. Death is the confinement of and to this planet's surface, not the condition of transition that bridged the second birth. In the mobile coffin of your physical body, you can hear voices and receive thoughts that are not your own. You're reflecting the real everlasting you in this level. Sounds like a video game, right? I and Ethan Lucas have spoken privately about this World of Warcraft game, and I do have a World of Warcraft tab. I have to go back to that eventually. I was going to try to get on to play, but I didn't download. I don't know. Like, I played it for 14 years. Do I really want to put the game back on? Because then I'll start playing again, and then I need a job. Like, so I don't have time. And not that I wasn't working when I was playing, I was, but it consumed a lot of my time. I have too much on my plate. But it sounds like a level, like a school, like you graduate. You can't die here. You're already dead. You died before in order to get here. Reincarnation. Jesus said, "For I come down from heaven, not to do my own will, but the will of him that sent me." He didn't say up, he said down. People talk of going down to hell. This is because the consciousness remembers having been up before. So I had a conversation about hell, and this is hell. This paradigm is hell. It's controlled by Satan. And we came, this is theoretical, but this is like the thinking that, and tell me in the comments if you correlate with this, like this is the ultimate hell, because we do have human suffering. We have physical pain, physical suffering, not just mental. A lot of people go, oh, you're mentally in pain. Well, no, you could be physically in pain. The conditions around you is out of your control. Besides manifesting what you want for yourself, you still can't control all the other universes that consist within this universe, which is the microbes, the amoebas, the bugs. Like, you can't control the bugs. Can't control the grass and how long it grows or when it wants to grow. It just does, right? You don't control that stuff. You can help it and water it and give it sunlight and do the right things, but it's only so much in your control. There is no hell more confining or limiting than a dense physical body. See? Here. Everyone makes their own hell wherever they are. That's so true. That's so true. We do make our own hell. It's all a mindset. So if we don't, obviously, realistically, if we look at the beauty and splendor of this planet and we kind of brush aside all the negative things that continuously happen on a daily basis and try to make heaven on earth or heaven in hell, it can be done. It's just really hard. In the sense of the present world system, the ethically bad sense of the word refers to the order arrangement under which Satan has organized the world of unbelieving mankind upon his cosmic principles of force, greed, selfishness, ambition, and pleasure. The world system is imposing and powerful with armies and fleets, is often outwardly religious, scientific, cultured, and elegant, but seething with national and commercial rivalries and ambitions, is force and is dominated by satanic principles. This is why a lot of people are saying that if everything is man-made, including books that were written, there is a note of Satan in all of it. And there is a notion of God in a lot of the other inspired works. It's just who's controlling it. And how do we rise above it? Us light workers. Beating the demons. They're trying to suck our life energy out. Yes, it is. It says this in the Bible. It just isn't in the Holy Script, but it is just as true. Jesus came down to demonstrate the principles by which you must live in order to go up. Yes, humanity on this planet are the dead who shall hear if they but listen. Of course, the present world system does not function by constitutions or laws of God. It functions by national emergency laws, by crooked politics, and by who has got the most of what. Okay, so why I will like, okay, and I read this prior to doing this video. So when the virus fund from China came back and out of the lab, forehead's itchy. The reason, and this is really interesting. I'm going to put a little thing there. So right now in New York, a bunch of people on Staten Island, where I was from, went to the courthouse and is trying to get a class action lawsuit for people who lost their jobs, city jobs, especially teachers. That's where I would fall under. I'm not a teacher, but I fell in that category. That lost their jobs, get compensated, and it's unconstitutional, and they should have given the jobs back already, and they really haven't. If that does become a class action, I'm joining it. But because it was the emergency laws of the state of New York, for instance, they suspended my contract with the DOE, overriding everything that I signed in my contract. Like, I have to have X, Y, and Z. It never in that contract said I have to be vax for new stuff, only old stuff. And there isn't really anything about a pandemic in there. So they suspended everything, overwrit the Constitution of the United States, overwrit the Nuremberg Code and the Geneva Convention. And then you hear people giving away gift cards and freedom fries and hamburgers and donuts and all this stuff. That's not a lot. That's aggrandizement. You can't do that. But that's a perfect example. And this is back in 1953. What? It just happened again. He just said it. They overwritten the laws. And we get screwed. Although I'm hoping that I get back pay and an apology that I wasn't allowed to get unemployment. I didn't do anything wrong. I just couldn't get that. So I lost everything that I earned and wanted and had to give up, and that it's hard, and I'm still healing from that. It's traumatic, and I don't give myself enough credit for where I am now, but how emotionally like dramatic. I just had a year of crazy insanity, and I don't give myself enough credit for how much I've overcome and how much I have already have done here, creating a new life for myself by force. Though the universe has to put you where you belong. So here I am. But I thought that line right there is a little too close to home. Nobody in God's country owns anything. True. The boys up front have put it all in hook for you. So the parents all have to work to break even while their children become juvenile delinquents. On top of that, they are hatching up the hellfire and brimstone by piling up hydrogen bombs while you foot the bill. Bombs to ensure peace. Whoever heard of weapons of destruction bringing peace? The radioactivity from the country's stockpile alone would eliminate the citizens of America if they were dropped on any portion of the earth. When the race for supremacy and bombs is finished, what do? Settle our differences with cream puffs at 10 yards. Oh, goodness. The satanic influence are being followed by the makers of these hellfire devices and the authorities who break you to make them. We are not inferring that this country alone is guilty of being in control of satanic forces. All countries who manufacture mass murder weapons are guilty before God. Every person who had a contact with the angels in the spaceships has received the same information from them. Atomic energy is a death force, whether used for war or commercially. This holds very true. I don't recall when Valiant Thor was photographed in Congress. But Valiant Thor came down to talk to Eisenhower and others to negotiate what the hell to do, because they just opened up a can of worms with the Grenada Treaty, and that was more Majestic 12. But yeah, thankfully, I think the negative forces also now, though, understand they can't wipe us out completely, because the humans that are here, most of us hold a frequency key and hold genetic lines in our God spark that they need in order to open up the stargates and the wormholes and other things on this planet that they need. So they can't just wipe all of us out. They need a lot of us. And if you destroy the planet like they did Maldak, well, you're going to probably get stuck in your own cycle of having to come back. Even in the negative, higher density beings are going to get fucked. So just things to think about. Quote, and no man hath ascended up to heaven, but he that come down from heaven, even the Son of Man, which is in heaven. John 3:13. Quote, and when they found not his body, they came, saying that they had also seen a vision of angels, which said that he was alive. Luke 24:23. This tells you that you are alive after the transition. That's what Jesus came down here to prove. You are dead now. And I know someone made a comment on one of my black hole community posts that I've been slowly trying to gauge how many people are actually like enjoying my content. And someone's like, oh, they're dead already. Interesting, right? Quote, Jesus answered and said unto him, verily, verily, I say unto thee, expect a man to be born again. He cannot see the kingdom of God. End quote. John 3:3. This is only one grade in the school of life. So he's taking the Dolores Cannon stance that this is a school, Earth is school, and this is third dimensional grade. And you can't polish God's apple to pass to the next grade. He doesn't care how many times you take this grade over to pass it. He has forever. This is so striking because Dolores says the same thing, almost identical to George. She does. She says, this is a school, this is Earth, and until you clear your karma, until you learn your lessons, until you have love and compassion and forgiveness in your heart, you're not moving anywhere. You're going to repeat third density over and over and over again until you get it. Rebirth into this grade again because you flunked it does not constitute the second birth. The second birth is only possible when you have passed the grade here. And that's what that's what is happening now on this planet. We are moving up and forward into consciousness, into the Christ consciousness. it's very important that we take that notion and, oh, okay, cool. We're moving up. And not to just the east side, baby. We're moving up. We're transcending the whole paradigm. No matter what that looks like for you, again, I'm going to say this. Life is very metaphysical. You're a fractal of source having an experience, and that's individualized through you. So your perception, your thinking, your method to your madness is yours and yours alone through God of all, the source of all, the creative spirit. What you perceive and what you think is different from me or different from somebody. You can resonate with what I say. My experiences, my journey is mine to own. Your perception is yours to own, whether it be a globe earth, a flat earth, Satan, God, aliens or no aliens. That's your perception. Those are the things that you hold truth to yourself. And everybody's going to see it a million different ways. It's all of us understanding that we do that will help rise the frequency of this planet and ourselves, because you're giving credence to other people. And it might be one of those, I agree to disagree, but you're still cool. Instead of arguing with people, instead of wasting, giving, and expending your energy negatively, do it constructively. And if you can't do it constructively, again, just say, well, I agree to disagree with you. I'm sorry, but you're still cool. You're still a lovely person. And let's move forward. Change topic. Sometimes you're not going to win an argument. You're not going to impose your will on someone else. If someone's meant to wake up, they're going to wake up. If they're not meant to wake up, they're going to keep sleeping. And that's all in the design that they wrote in for themselves. Again, it's your story. History, your story. Our space friends say, if you follow the golden rule and do all things in moderation, you will pass this grade. This means living it, not believing in it. Living it and not believing in it. So you got to walk the walk and talk the talk. I like that. This next chapter, the decision, is quite interesting. George was very religious and very faithful in the Bible. His perception is interesting because he equates a lot of stuff to space and aliens. He drops a few quotes about the separation of, like, one shall be taken and two shall be left. The above paragraphs, which I didn't read to you guys, but again, it's like Bible stuff. Like, he's saying, like, either you're for the Bible or you're not. But I don't think realized that the Council of Nicaea was the Bible authors of butchering other scriptures and losing the meaning of the true scriptures that were written. The above paragraphs say a division of mankind will be made, and that is true. One shall be taken and one shall be left. That's true. And that's true to me. Who is to make the decision? Who will do this judging of humanity to see who will be taken and who will be left? Each person will have written their own ticket. And this is true. Each individual will have already judged himself. There will be no one accepted by at least a last-minute decision. The time is very close for the ones who qualify to be taken. And that's really true, but taken where? He's saying on ships, I wouldn't trust just any ship landing in my yard and two beings coming out and say, hey, come with us. Like, who are you? What agenda do you serve? Positive or negative polarity. And you really gotta tap into your own higher self and say, is this okay? Before you go on any kind of ship and accept any kind of agreement to do that. You don't know what you're walking into. And again, these higher beings can project positively. They can vibrate very, very, very positively. And it's up to you to discern if that is truth or not. And they have to prove it to you. And that goes with channeling, right? That goes with that whole concept of when you channel or you are a medium and you're getting guidance from a spirit. You got to make sure you are getting something from a positive polarized spirit, or you shut down that shit down quick. There's a lot of imitators. Spirit is funny. And so are these aliens. Every day that passes, you individually are establishing your right to be taken by the way you live. You are manifesting your choice by your actions and thinking. Each person adds increase to their vibratory body aura by conforming to the laws of the universe. Your aura, or your frequency of your body force field, your toroidal shield, will determine whether you are taken or left. A definite vibration will be established in the force field surrounding each spacecraft that will pick up people. If your body aura or force field conforms with or exceeds the established level of the spacecraft force field, then you can enter the ships. Remember, you are now qualifying or disqualifying yourself to be taken aboard. None can qualify another. And it's just like me and my girl Dina say, you got to walk the walk, talk the talk, and do the work. You got to do the inner work. You got to heal yourself. You got to establish you and move forward from that. Only you could do that work. No one could do it for you. No one gets free passes. No one. This sounds kind of fantastic in our everyday living conditions. God works his ways in mysterious fashion. By your own way of thinking and living, you write your own ticket for the ascension. And that's so true. The next thing one asks is, where will the people who are picked up be taken? This is answered in Luke 17:37. And they answered and said unto him, where, Lord? And he said unto them, wherever so the body is, thither will the eagles be gathered together. Now let's think about, where do the eagles gather? Tells you next paragraph. Naturally, the eagles gather together in the sky. This was said in a parable at the time because the people in the biblical days did not know what it was to fly in the skies. It was not meant for the people of those days. It was said for the people of our time. The space people, angels, explain that the people who have been taken aboard their craft in these times were not taken aboard because they were better than anyone else. They explain that these people were taken aboard for their own test purposes, to see how different types of people would react. Each one who has been so honored was readily accessible in a remote place. They were of cooperative minds, and each represented a different type of Earth's people. With the exception of a few human beings that have come forward with their own story about their travels to space or the lands beyond with different species of aliens. Most people who come out about their experiences claim things were really bad. They were in pain, they were experimented on, things happened that were so diabolical that they're mind wiped and they can't even remember. So, and what the little things that they do remember is super traumatic. Again, watch Super Soldier Talk. James Rank spells it out. So it depends on what beings are taking you up and what your experience is, as we see Alex and Elena that go up and have these glorious experiences. And she tells it in her book. And again, I'm not against Elena and her experiences. I believe that she has these things. I just believe she's being puppeted by a race. That's all. And that's up to her to discern or not. Regardless, I believe her story. She's telling you both sides of the coin when it comes to being taken. She was taken and experimented on and had some really bad experiences. And then she was rescued and she's having positive experiences. So why you have to be careful who you follow, because our friend Mr. Dr. G is saying, well, they're all benevolent. We live in a dualistic paradigm, Dr. G. No. I have a Draco picture and a child in a face diaper, and that thing wanted to eat her head. It had negative intentions. It screens it off the photo. So please explain to me how that's positive. Just because that picture came to me, and let's per se that little girl wrote into her experience she was going to get eaten by a Draco, does that make it a positive or a negative thing? Let's say it makes it negative in our standards. So that's why I keep emphasizing, like, I have to go through a gamut of things in order to realize if some craft landed in my backyard and these beings wanted to beam me up. Oh, you gotta prove to me that you're not evil, and you gotta tell me, show me, give me the evidence I need, and then I'm gonna ask my higher self if this is okay and if this is what I signed to do. Just don't get on any ship and don't consent to shit, because you don't know. It's like Granada Treaty 2.0. Oh, please help us. Please save us. Warm and fuzzy. Up, here comes the Draco. Boom, boom, boom. The mass pickup of people will take place very soon, prior to the planets rebalancing to new poles. JQ! I know he doesn't watch my work. And we're friends, but yeah, not an alien agenda. Boom. I'm going to text him this. Say, see what I'm talking about? Alien gray agenda. This is alien grays. Pole shift. I got the documentation right here, Jason. And those of you who watch him, I'm serious. I bought him a book for his birthday that's coming up, because I should get him this one too. I love my best friend, and he's ridiculously genius, but he's very like focused and stuck on what he reads and not necessarily like believes that what I read, I'm like, hi, here. Anywho, sorry. New polls. This cataclysm will wipe out the destructive mammon lovers who will be left on the surface. Here's the problem. The poles already are shifting. They're shifting. But it's not going to be a cataclysmic event. Why? Because they're shifting naturally the way they're supposed to be shifting for this time frame in this cycle. They're not going to just, we would all die. We would go back to space dust if that was the case, and we're not. The poles have already been and have been shifting for decades. Slowly intervals are happening, and then you get a little bump, and then things start happening, but it kind of calms down and you get a bump. It's just like the Schumann resonance. 1 minute it's like a couple of days, it's like, oh. And then all of a sudden comes the white light. I don't make this shit up. You could look at it, discern for yourself. But again, the poles are shifting. Does that mean that we're all going to get picked up? And he and Jason has this information documented on other not this book, but in other documents, because he said it before. Oh, they're going to take us up. I don't know. Ashtiana Dean talks about going through the stargates if you're activated and having the DNA resonance to do so. Now, the problem with that theory, and again, I held a gate in my house. I held the frequency. Not everybody on this planet, whether they're aware of it or not, if they're awake or not. Some people are totally sleeping, but are purely good people and do the right thing. So does that omit them from being taken and ascending? No. They're going to ascend. They're just asleep to stuff that we're awake to. And they might be awake to some crazy idea that we have no idea about. Again, we're not here to judge others. I don't know if how in again, we all wrote a different script for ourselves on how we, in the manner that we're going to ascend. And it's on our own time frame. We just don't know when that time was written in our script. So generalizing, oh, we're all going to be taking up. For what the medium told me, and again, I take what the medium tells me with a grain of salt when it comes to future predictions, but I'm not getting a big lump sum of money because I lost my job. I don't think so. I'm going to have alien visitation, and I know I already have at some points in time, but I'm not going up in a ship, and the end of the world is not coming anytime soon. So I don't, again, it's that fear frequency that's being projected that we need to stop. Because then all the people's attachments to their things start becoming like a real problem. Like, what about my kids? What about my thing? What about my kid? What about my? Starts coming up into the fray of this, and it holds people back from moving up because they're afraid their child is not moving with them. Your child is here for an experience. It came through you to learn from you, but you have to detach. And a lot of people have been saying this. Mark Atwood has said it. It's not an easy thing to detach. And that's what my major lesson last year was learned. When I was talking earlier about my house and I lost everything, that was because it taught me how to self-detach my emotional state from objects or people or things. Really fucking hard. I tell you what, but when you have no choice, you got to go and you got to do so you have survival. It ain't easy, but knowing that you can detach from people, places, and things that no longer serve you is a step forward in that. Getting rid of the things, giving it as abundance to other people that could use it, that's a next step forward. This is how we get that into a habit where we're not attaching outcomes and things to people, places, and things, if that makes sense. Shouldn't be attached to anything. We all are one in the first place. My parents are very much with me that they're not here in physical form, they're here in energetic form, and they're always with me. A fraction of them are always with me. They're all having fun. I want my parents to go have fun up in whatever density they're lying in right now, and it's probably high 6, 7. I want them to be happy. I want them to go and have their own like galactic fun life. Why do I need them to stay around here and watch me? It's a part of their jobs, but I know my parents are always with me. They're dead. They've been dead. My dad's going on 18. No, 19. Jeez, I'm bad with math. Let's figure it out. Okay, it's 18 years. August 28th that my dad's been passed. That's a long time. He's been having a hang fun up there. And it's 11:11 by me, and I saw it twice. But that's a huge test for people. Is the, if let's just say this scenario does play out, the aliens come and they're only taking you and you got to say goodbye to your family, what are you going to do? Are you going to honor the fact that it's your time to move forward, or is it that you're going to stay stuck to them, and when they go and die, you're stuck by yourself? It is ridiculously hard, but what happens if that's an occurrence? What happens if they come down and just take you and you have your family? That's not easy. And that's something that can nothing is out of the impossibility of happening, but that can happen. So after the Earth has reestablished on its new poles and the continents and oceans have been changed, wiping out this human legislated, materialistic minded civilization, then the people who have been taken up in the air will be landed back on the surface. Possibly. I don't know. What happens after the people are landed back on the earth is told in Isaiah 65:17-26. Watch ye therefore and pray always, that ye may be accounted worthy to escape all these things that shall come to pass, and stand before the Son of Man. This next chapter. Angels are people. I've been saying this. Oh no, but what do I know? She's just that cookie girl. She crazy. Angels are people. And the angel that talked with me came again and waked me, as a man that is wakened out of his sleep. Zechariah 4:1. This paragraph is exactly the experience that I had on August 24th of 1953. Having faith that there are space people and communication with them by thought transference are two conditions of mind that are real. However, one cannot put his fingers on faith or thought. Truth. Angels were always considered by me to be some vaporous type of afterlife that just floated about here and there. My entire concept of things changed with the physical manifested appearance of one of these angels to me. He's going into his experience that he slept outside, he was in the desert, and they came and they tapped him. They couldn't get his wife. He tried to get his wife up, like, come on, look at this shit, and didn't. And they walked him to their ship. And he describes the ship, and yeah, he goes into a lot of his experience, and he does that also in that book. I've since found out that angels are people that come out of space. They not only colonize planets and communicate by thought, but they spend their time helping people to understand life. Right now, they are around and on our planet to help humanity out of the mess they have gotten into by following the Cain destructive principles and worshiping the golden calf. People are people everywhere in the Creator's universe. The only difference is that most of them have followed the universal laws and thereby progressed, while Earthlings experiment with new ways to destroy millions of their fellow beings. But what George doesn't understand is that we've been infiltrated from different matrices since the dawn of time, and not all of them are positive. And many of the negative thought forms and the negative entities lost their understanding that there is God that created them and that we're all a part of the same source. They're like, nah, and they went on their own negative path of self and trying to take everybody down with them. You had a body before you came here on earth, and you shall have another one when you leave, but maybe then you'll be called an angel. Hi, star seeds. Hi, I see you. Most of the people that are watching are star seeds, hence you individuated and you were an angel. And then you individuated again and again, and then you became a starseed. You became a higher density being in a vehicle of an alien, what we would consider aliens. Read the Bible with the understanding that every use of the word angel refers to good people who came out of space, and the Bible will make a different impression upon you. Genesis tells of God making man, but it doesn't say anything about him making angels. This further proves to me that angels are the race of men. And then we come to the last portion of the book, and that's Armageddon. Armageddon is a word that is not explained in the Bible, the dictionary, or any other book of interpretations. To answer the question as to what this word means, our space friends explain it by the interpreting from the man tongue basic language. This is the language of understanding by sequence of symbols. It is the basic by which all thought communication is carried on our space friends. The Montong interpretations of our alphabet revealed by Richard S. Shaver in the Mystic magazine of October 1955 is the correct basis for the languages of Earth. As in all cycles of orbital revolution, every beginning repeats at its end from a given point. The modern English being the newest of the Earth people's language, it is also the oldest, only repeating itself. The word Armageddon means human beings bringing horror to the real men of their physical generation of energy of a destructive nature, to destroy with a source of power like the child who doesn't know any better. Interesting. All the affairs concerning Mars conducted from Arma, from the explanation of why the people of Mars are horrified by the actions of the people on Shan, the Earth, we can go into the Bible. This is not because the space people haven't explained it to us, but rather because hundreds of millions of people believe in what the Bible says, while only a few million people accept the truth that there is anything and anyone else besides the people of Earth living in the vastness of universe. Revelations 19:11 says, "And I saw heaven open, and behold a white horse, and he that sat upon him was called Faithful and True, and in righteousness he doth judge and make war." The white horse indicates a white craft coming out of heaven with power. Today, the symbol for measurement of power is given in horsepower. Him explains that the craft is of positive polarity. He that sat upon him in righteousness explains that his journey into our skies is for a right purpose in relation to the universal laws. Revelations 19:19 says, "And I saw the beast and the kings of the earth and their armies gathered together to make war against him that sat on the horse and against his army." Remember, the Bible says that ones come out of heavens represent righteousness. That's where the problems lie. The secrecy of a government agency of the military is withholding this vital information from its own nation's people is treason in a free country. Boom! Can the recent Geneva Summit Conference of the Big Four be the kings of the earth gathered together? Certainly, they would not have to pool their strength and data to welcome the space people. And the armies which were in heaven followed him upon white horse, clothed in white linen and white and clean. Revelations 19:14. This indicates that the righteous one has many followers in spaceships. For behold, the Lord cometh forward out of his place and will come down and tread upon the high place of this earth. Micah 1:3 or Micah. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge, because thou hast rejected knowledge. I will also reject thee, that thou shalt be no priest to me, seeing thou hast forgotten the law of thy God. And I will also forget thy children. Hosea 4:6. Here in the Bible are the answers. The worldly governments or authorities are keeping the people of the world in ignorance and of the greatest event in our recorded history, the coming of the messengers and hosts of the Lord. And the beast, materialistic mammon authority, was taken with him, the false prophet, the hierarchy of the church that wrought miracles before him by condoning secrecy. with which he deceived them that had received the mark of the beast, those who value money above all. And then that worship his image, the golden calf. These both were cast alive in a lake of burning fire, with lake of fire burning with brimstone. Here's my dyslexia. Here we go. Revelations 19:20. Is it a coincidence that England is represented by Eden? Eden was also the name of the garden where the first sin of the crossing of blood was committed. And if we go to the Curtis's books, we know for a fact what the Garden of Eden really is. So Armageddon is the word. The time is now. Geddon applies to the earth. Arma applies to Mars. Mars symbolically is the war god planet. Are the kings of the earth so materialistic as to think that they could win a war against the angels of the Lord? For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of darkness of the world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Ephesians 6:12. Those who understand can interpret the above verse. This is plainly worded in the Bible. Anyone who puts on a show, front, or materialism before spiritual truth is only condemning themselves. Love not the world, neither thy things that are in the world. If any man love the world, the love of the Father is not in him. 1 John 2:15. This means that your love and your profession of God should be universal in scope. These are the days of decision. You each have the right to choose. And it shall come to pass in that day that the Lord shall punish the host of the high and the kings of the earth upon the earth. Isaiah 24:21. There's a conclusion, but it's short. Wow. We're at this time now. And now can be from this moment in forward, or it can be 5, 10, 15 years, 20 years from now. We really don't know, but we're at that crux. We're in this period of time where the scales can go either or on our future. And it's us that determines that future. And if we get enough people to start vibrating high, if we get enough people, yes, it's about truth. It's about knowing the truth, but your truth is not the same as mine. Not everybody is going to read a book to discern it for themselves. People are going to take a book and take it literally, right? So the people who actually read the Bible, a religious person, will look at this book and say it's blasphemous. It's from Satan, without giving it credence, without looking at it, without giving it merit. We have to steer people very softly and carefully in these times. Today was a really good example when my buddy JQ was on a show, and it's a very religious-based, faith-based show, and people were like, just, what are you talking about? I don't get it. Huh? You crazy. You're nuts. And I get that all the time. I've gotten that my whole life because people don't quite grasp, how can I believe in a God when I don't read the Bible and don't read any spiritual scripture, religious scriptures. I don't need to read a book to know what's within me. So it's all about going within and understanding and finding out your truth. It's different from other people's truths, but as long as it's corresponding and correlating with the mass whole, again, you might believe the globe is flat and someone might believe it's spherical. At the end of the day, does it really necessarily matter? What matters is your frequency, your love, your forgiveness. You are moving your vibration up. It's all that's mattered right now. It's all that's needed. Understanding that the governments are evil. He goes really in depth with that in this book. That he's right on a lot of things. Doesn't mean we're going to have a cataclysm pole shift that's going to change. You could talk to people who talk to Zetas and they say yes. I say we can manifest and shape the world the way we want it to be. And I think we're going for a soft landing approach and not, I mean, there is cataclysms happening all over the world right now. You're just not seeing and hearing many of those things. And the beautiful thing about the AI infested internet is that we still can get some news from other places around the world. And for those of you who are outside of America, let me just explain. You might hear this, you might not. So I'd rather say it here. There is a lot, it's our propaganda is as worse, if not the worst, than North Korea. It's an illusion. And there's a lot of back and forth games being played. And we don't hear what's going on in other countries. We hear little bits and pieces of things, but we don't get the news in Ireland. We get it from the people that are living in Ireland. We do not get news from Tibet. The monks are not giving us their information. But even the regular people that are around there, we don't hear anything from them unless a cataclysm or an event happens. We don't get the news from Bulgaria or Romania. I'm just naming like just countries, right? We don't, unless you live there and know people that are there, that are eyes on the ground and know what's happening, we don't hear these things on an everyday occurrence. So be aware that America, the Americans, are not necessarily, we're completely indoctrinated, brainwashed, and messed with. We are the biggest social experiment that could be possibly happening. And the bad part is it's being undone slowly. We need to unite as humanity. We need to come together and understand the concept of what he's talking about, but you could take some of the verses of the Bible, it applies, but take things in, we need to come together and unify as a humanity. And it ain't going to be done through religion. I'm very sorry. It is not. People who are Muslim are definitely not following the Bible. People that are reading the Torah are not acknowledging Yeshua. The Buddhists, I can go into all the world religions. We need to unify in spirituality because that doesn't cause butting heads. Oh, my God's better than yours, and my saint is better than yours. And you get that knockout little plastic game that you can have fun with, but we don't want that. We want everybody to unify as under God, the all law. Next time I'm going to read portion, and just like I did with this book, I'm going to go through portions of this book, The Council of Seven Lights. It's a really, really good book. And this is George Van Tassel as well. There's a lot more stuff in here that I think will bear some credence. Again, I'm not saying, his experience is his. You can't take that away from him. And he's just equating what he mentally and most consciously understands. And it's putting his paradigms together. He's putting his religious with the alien. So it makes sense to him. And a lot of this makes sense to us. This goes a little bit more scientific, but it also sheds some light on other things, which I can't wait to read. So we'll continue the Alien Gray agenda, but we're going to do it with this book next. Sorry for all the ranting. I tend to do that. I'm very, very enthusiastic this evening. Sending each and every one of you light, love, protection, and shielding. Please stay safe. The weekend is upon us. And I hope that each and every one of you holds what I say and understands what I'm trying to convey in all seriousness. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to my channel. If you haven't done so already, I appreciate it. I thank everybody who subscribed and who's helping me grow this channel. It's totally a we, not me kind of thing. Thank you for all the book reviews, and those of you who are watching my little shorts. I'm trying to get back my oracle readings. I'm trying to grow myself and try to reach other types of people who need to get out of that one book paradigm. And what about showing your garden that could possibly do that and expose you to some new books? It's all about the books, baby. So guys, I hope you all have an amazing night. I might throw a new book alert tomorrow. Depends how my teeth are functioning and how awake I am to read Blavatsky, but I might do a new book and then Blavatsky. So hang on, hold on to your hats, and I'll see you in the next one, guys.